Okay, Google. Directions to Antarctica.
There's no shortcut to Antarctica. From my apartment in Portugal, it starts with a 3-hour drive to Lisbon. Then it's a 3-hour flight to Frankfurt, followed by a silly 18-hour layover. Then it's a 14-hour flight to Buenos Aires, another 3-hour flight to Ushuaia, and finally a 36-hour sail through 7 meters swell. It's a slog. But hey, there's penguins. Anyways, we'll get there. But let's backtrack. Okay, it's 2:30 in the morning. I have the worst flight ever. It's a 5 a.m. flight, which means that I had to leave Lagos at midnight to get here for 2:30 for my flight. Which means I just didn't go to bed last night, and I'm hoping that I can find a way to sleep between here and Buenos Aires. Every single time I take an early morning flight, I think to myself, this was not worth saving the 50 euros compared to the afternoon flight. Then, every time I book a flight, I'm like, 50 bucks is a lot of candy. So here I am, sugar buzzed, sleep deprived, but ready to fly. Thankfully, the flight is empty, so no random stranger needed to deal with my head on their shoulder. And after arriving, I spent my 18 hours in Frankfurt Airport nodding off in a chair in the Priority Pass lounge. So let's just skip that footage and hop on the longer flight to Argentina.
Okay, made it to Argentina. Have one night here. Actually, let's get to the hotel and I'll explain the process because it's confusing. So I made it to my hotel room in Buenos Aires, Argentina. It's kind of crazy being back here. I actually lived here for like 3 months at one point. You guys might remember that. I actually got kind of bored in the city, if I'm being honest. But it's a beautiful city, it's a fun city, and here's some old footage even, maybe.
Back in 2016, I lived here. And nearly every day I climbed up onto the rooftop of my Airbnb and watched the sunset. I love Buenos Aires, even if I didn't love living here. Those moments watching the sunset every day, my feet dangling off the edge, were my favorite moments. So yeah, it's a little bit strange to be back, and this footage simultaneously feels like a lifetime and a moment ago.
Yeah, I've been so busy lately, it kind of probably seems like I've jumped straight from the Dolomites to here and I haven't been home, but I was actually home for a full month. Just so busy at home. And in that busyness, I don't think I've properly explained what's going on with Antarctica. So let me sit you down and let's talk and explain about what the heck is going on with Antarctica and what I'm doing here and how this is all going down. So in short, Thomas Heaton and I had organized this amazing conference to Antarctica back in 2017 or 18. The trip was supposed to happen in 2020, but of course the pandemic happened and it got canceled. Well, it got postponed to 2021. It got postponed to tomorrow, actually. But then about 6 months ago, we kind of realized that some of our participants wouldn't be able to make it. And we're looking at you Australians. So we decided it probably was best to postpone another year. So the conference got postponed again to the next season, to next year, which is actually the 2022-23 season. But when we did that, I offered to Polar Latitudes, which is the company, the expedition company, that maybe if they were still planning on running the trip with new people, like open to the public people, maybe we should offer to the participants that still want to come just not join the conference, that they can come and I'll lead them. And they agreed to that. And as a result, 9 of the participants from the conference have decided to join me this year. So it's me plus 9 other photographers plus a ship of normal people, if you will. So we're going to Antarctica and we're going tomorrow. But the way to get there is very different than it was pre-pandemic because of the pandemic. And basically you have to try to reduce the risk as much as possible, not only for the health and safety of people on board, but for the financial health of the company, because obviously if we went on board, somebody tested positive and had to quarantine for 14 days, the ship's charter season would be screwed, I think. They'd probably lose at least one more trip. It would be a huge problem. So we're trying to do our best to minimize contact. So basically we landed here this morning. I went straight in and got a PCR test done from nurses at the hotel, and I've come up to my room. All the other guests are doing the same thing. We're all in like a bubble. We're in a bubble, so we can't go out and explore the city, which is kind of sad because as much as I might have got bored here like years ago, I do love the city. It's a great place to walk around. Yeah, so we're bubbling. We're not quarantining. We're just reducing contact. Then tomorrow morning, we're all jumping into buses together. Again, just our group. And we're going to the airport and joining a charter flight that's just our group. A private charter flight going down to Ushuaia and then going straight onto the boat as a group without having contact with outsiders, with normal people.
So the next day, us non-normal people boarded a bus. Driving via Havana, I nearly convinced the bus driver to let me break the bubble for an alfajor. But alas, as much as we are in Argentina, we kind of aren't. We're like astronauts on another planet. And soon, we launched to Ushuaia.
Welcome to the end of the world. Actually, after this past year that sounded a bit dystopian, not the end of the world, but like the physical end of the, you know what I mean. Welcome to Ushuaia.
In Ushuaia, we headed to our boat. Thankfully not that one. That one. The Sea Venture.
We have made it on board, which means I can demask. Yeah, we're still obviously in port because I've just gotten here. And this is my cabin. I'm super lucky. I actually have a cabin to myself, which I'm excited about. Not that I hate people, but it's going to be nice to have a place to retreat to at the end of the day. So the boat is called the Sea Venture. And yeah, this is my cabin. I'm actually, yeah, I'll flip you around and show you, even though it's not a massive room. It's way bigger than the room I was in last time I went to Antarctica. So, okay, so that's obviously the door to come in. Bathroom. I always find it so strange showering in moving boats. I don't know why. It's a bathroom. Out of the bathroom, mirror, a curtain, life jacket, and this is like a closet for boots and other things. There's 2 beds, so one will be a storage bed for like my clothes. Whenever you do an Antarctica trip, they give you a polar jacket, and that's actually a really nice jacket. Lots of closet space that I don't know how to get into. The thing about ships, like expedition ships, is everything has to be locked down. Bed, TV, a desk. I'm guessing this is a mini bar, maybe? Oh, mini bar. And then a window to the great outdoors, which is the gangplank right now. Yeah, super cozy. I'm excited about this. I'm going to unpack my suitcase, put them into shelves, and turn this into my little home for the next 10 days. And it's I think it's 4, and we're pushing off at about 6. So I'll take you with me as we head across the Beagle Channel this evening and then onto what I'm hoping is going to be the Drake Lake. I want it to be smooth sailing, but it's probably going to be a little bit rough. Looks like we actually just set sail, so let's go on board or on deck. We've departed Ushuaia, which is off that way, and actually the weather's not bad. The last time I did this trip though, it was like perfectly calm all the way through the Beagle Channel. This is the Beagle Channel. It's like the gateway out to the open ocean, to the South Sea or South Ocean, and the crazy Drake Passage. And honestly, I'm a little bit concerned about the Drake Passage because it can get a little bit wild, and I had a pretty calm crossing last time, so I think I'm due a pretty wild one. But yeah, it's beautiful. Sun just came out, as you saw. I'm going to flip you a couple shots of the Beagle Channel, and yeah, wish us a calm Drake Passage.
The Beagle Channel is beyond beautiful. It's one of those places you depart from thinking, well, if this is here and we're just skipping it, how amazing is our destination? I enjoyed the views from deck for a while as the wind kicked up and convinced me to head in for dinner. Then, at an early 10 p.m., it was time for some sunset views on board. The light was dramatic, and the layers made for some simple but eye-catching images. Of course, it's not exactly easy framing a photo on a telephoto lens from a swaying ship. However, I'm pretty happy with some of these. Oh, and I'm sorry about the wobbly footage, but if I'm getting seasick, all of you are joining me in this.
It's 6 in the morning, and we're definitely on the Drake. Last night, the boat was rocking so much. Wow. The boat was rocking so much. That I actually fell out of bed. And apparently this isn't even that bad of a crossing, so let's see what it looks like outside at 6 in the morning on the Drake Passage. You know, it's funny, because I guess I could take the mask off. It's funny because it actually feels pretty calm. Whoa. But the swell, whew, the swell just pulls you from side to side. Man. And every now and then you just see a massive amount of water splash over top. So yeah, I feel like this is a fairly calm morning. Wow, it's so hard to show you guys the seas. I'm gonna hang on to this post. It's so hard to show you guys the seas. Wow! But maybe you can tell in the background, we're moving pretty good. It's so hard to show you on the wide angle because it looks super flat. And the swell's only 4 or 5 meters from what they say. But every now and then you end up in like a trench like this, and it just rocks you down out of nowhere. It just, it's kind of crazy. Wow. And we're being followed by a bunch of birds. And yeah, I gotta get some breakfast and warm up a bit because this is cold.
As the swells pick up from 2 meters to 7 meters, it's almost impossible to show that on camera. The G-force pull is sort of one of those things you just have to feel to understand. At breakfast, an occasional dip in the sea sends a massive crashing sound from the kitchen, and I wonder how many plates are victimized by the Drake Passage each year. Luckily, despite not taking any seasickness tablets, I managed to hold in my breakfast and spend some time watching some incredible bird life tailing our ship. If you're looking for some lessons in balance, try photographing moving birds from a moving ship through 7-meter swell.
It is, I guess, the second full day of the crossing, and it's actually snowing. Not hard, but this is like there's snow coming through right now. So it's kind of fitting, you know, pulling into Antarctica and it's snowing. It's just kind of crazy. They do say, though, that soon, maybe in an hour or so, we'll be pulling up to the islands that are like just before Antarctica. So we're almost there. It's been a bit of a rocky journey, but not so bad. I'd say if this was 1 to 10, 1 being a calm lake and 10 being the craziness you see on YouTube, it's been like a 3. So it looks like we finished the Drake Passage because there's land right there, and I'm sure at least a dozen people yelled land ho, which is a requirement. When you see that, it is overcast, it was snowing, the seas are a little bit wild, and they've told us that potentially we might be able to land, but it is windy. It's like 31 knots. There's some serious swell, so hopefully we can land tonight if we can find a little bit of shelter.
Rugged, sharp teeth stick out from snow-capped seas. Domes of snow dot the early spring landscape. Gnarly cliffs drop into the ocean below like skateboard ramps. Seabirds dance in the gusts. And those of us on board, starved to see, well, anything but water, stand around awed and eager to explore. But sadly, the weather isn't as keen on letting us off the ship.
Okay, so I'm back in my room. They've actually shut down all the decks, and they told us it's a pretty unlikely scenario that we'll be able to land because it's like hurricane force winds outside. But we're gonna try, hopefully pull into Half Moon Island, hope it's sheltered enough to be able to go out, but it's definitely not looking good.
With all the talk of bad weather on the Drake Passage, I totally forgot about the fact that the weather could also be bad once we arrived in Antarctica. We got absolutely pelted by the weather. Heavy wind and massive waves have kept us indoors, and whipping snow keeps the views from us. But eventually the clouds lift and we get a taste of the majesty of this place, even if it is from our ship. Half Moon Island floats by us, and I settle for a couple video frames as we pass.
Wow, I had a really good night's sleep last night and have woken up to slightly calmer weathers. You can see this ice shelf over here. It's absolutely epic. And apparently the winds are picking back up in like 2 hours. So it's 5 in the morning, if you can believe it. It's this nice out at 5 in the morning. And they're gonna race us on to land now so we can actually get a landing in before this bad weather comes back in. But it's absolutely glorious this morning. I mean, look at this. This is insane. And you should see this iceberg over here. It is crazy. Crazy. This is like, it's got to be twice the size of our ship. It's just phenomenal.
It's snowing, and we're not at the best landing location. But with the weather having been so terrible, we're all just kind of eager to touch land. And here, we'll set foot on the Antarctic Peninsula itself. So we brave the cold, snow, and the thought of the incoming windstorm, and board our Zodiacs.
We just landed. Lens has a little bit of ice water on it. Got a little bit of splash on the Zodiac, which is fun. We're just landing really quickly. Probably, I don't know, 15 minutes, because the winds are supposed to really pick up, and they kind of just wanted to get us on land. This is called Portal Point, and it is beautiful. There's some insane glacial ice over this way, and it's just packed in with snow. There's a couple penguins over there that look like a deli. And yeah, my photography group is just coming on the Zodiac. We're gonna wander out and grab a couple pictures, hopefully, but we gotta kind of be quick because this wind is coming in.
The thing about Antarctica is you don't need much time to capture beautiful images. In fact, toss your lens in nearly any direction and you'll find a photo. With only a short period of time on land before the windstorm chases behind us, we make the most of our landing, both in experience and in photographs. And as predicted, the weather soon comes thundering in. So after successfully and officially making it to Antarctica, we're back on the ship.
Wow, just as the Polar Latitudes crew told us, the weather came in. Basically, as we were cruising around on the Zodiacs, snow just started coming in, hammering us, and it's still snowing really hard. It's kind of crazy because everybody expects Antarctica to be really cold, but it's summer. And so for it to be snowing in summer is actually kind of rare. And yeah, it's wild, wild weather out there. I was going to end the video after this morning's landing, but I think let's carry on and see what happens this afternoon. We're going to hopefully try to do another landing this afternoon, but this weather is just, it's kind of crazy. So yeah, let's see what happens.
In the afternoon, Antarctica was granted to us in all its glory. We passed through channels of absolute pristine beauty, mountains as high as the Rockies, and shelves of ice as deep as the Eiffel Tower is high. It's overwhelming. After days of long drives, layovers, flights, bumpy crossings, and wild weather, this is Antarctica, and it was all worth it. With a break in the weather, we jump back on our Zodiacs and explore the ice in search of life. Soon, we're greeted by a group of penguins, probably wondering where all the humans have been the past 2 years. And is there a more photogenic animal than the penguin? It's hard to even pick a handful of images to share. And I'm sure that this week in Antarctica will leave me with hard drives full of images of these beautiful creatures. Oh, and the ice. No, there's no Photoshop, no fancy editing happening to this ice. It is this blue. It's Superman Ice Cave blue. It's unreal. It was a long journey, but now that we're here, I don't want to leave. Luckily, we're just getting started.
Okay, that was awesome. That was so good. The Zodiacs are still out there, as you can see. We were the first ones out, so we're the first ones back. We were out for like an hour and a half. Got some really cool penguin photos, saw crab eater seals, and just this place is so special. Like, where else in the world is there anything like this? It's just insane. So I'm excited for the next like week, I guess, we have down here. And yeah, we're just getting started. I hope the weather improves because it was rough up until about now. But yeah, days like this make you realize you don't need perfect weather here. You just need okay weather. And you get pretty fantastic things happening. So that's it for this episode. I'll see you the next time down here in Antarctica. Peace.